Yeah, so got done with indoor nationals. Literally the next weekend we were competing, and the way I look at the outdoor season is nothing's ever guaranteed with weather or competition or things like that. That's kind of one thing we learned with our COVID season was, hey, let's take advantage of every opportunity that we have. So what I told the athletes was to be ready for that first weekend after nationals, because if we get good weather, we're competing, because we don't know what the next week or the week after are going to look like. So when I saw that it was going to be 70 degrees and sunny in Pueblo, and quick trip just down the road, 45-minute drive, great facility, we took advantage of it, and we came out there with that first week after nationals and tried to kind of hang on to our peak from the national championships and not back off after that first week. We ended up having multiple national qualifiers right there that first weekend, which it's always good, when trying to qualify for the conference meet or if it be the national meet. We had some athletes that qualified for nationals right away that first weekend and got to kind of then really go into training and put on some good layers of work and prepare them for the outdoor national championships. So not having to chase those marks every weekend was a huge benefit. So, but ended up being a great season. We ended up having maybe some bad weather days during the week where we had to go inside, but luckily we have an indoor track facility, so we didn't miss any training. And then the weekends ended up being great weather. So kind of came up with a plan, usually go 2 weeks on competition and then go a week off and then have a good 10-day training cycle there and then try to compete at a high level somewhere more of a destination type place, make a special place for the athletes. So went to West Texas A&M, and then we took a group of 27 athletes to California. And at both of those places, we had spectacular marks and just had multiple national qualifiers. And then leading into the outdoor championships, I think we do a really good job of getting the athletes ready to compete at the championships so that they're hitting their best marks at the right time, not just in the middle of the year. Ended up having record-breaking performance at the championships. You probably know better than I do on the number of all our max we had. I know it was 60 something. So
yeah, 63.
63. So obviously, when you have that amount of all conference athletes, you're having a pretty dang good meet. So ended up winning on the women's side by 93 points, I believe. 93 points ahead of second place, and then 50 something on the men's side. So great meet. I think our athletes do a really good job at the championship meet because it means more to us. It's not just, they're not competing for themselves. So when you're competing for something bigger than yourself, more of a competing for your team, you end up getting some really special things that happen. Where I think a lot of other teams are, going there trying to hit a national qualifying mark or, this or that, where we're there as one big unit, one squad, trying to, finish the weekend winning that conference championship. And we'll never go away from that. It never gets old. Get excited every single time, and just capped it off with a great season. Yeah. So we had I'd say an A+ meet. I try to grade the meets as we have them, and we didn't have a lot of mistakes. It's just everyone was on fire. I feel like in the past I've maybe focused too much on the in-season, regular season, and tried to chase marks for nationals. And this year we stuck to a plan, trusted the process, know that we were going to hit those big marks at the conference championships, and it worked. It was just a great meet for us. We had like you were saying, that over 63 all RMAC performances. Kind of we prepare that week. We take the weekend before off and kind of train through and put a lot of emphasis on that conference championship meet. So, 14 event winners in, arguably the hardest conference in Division II. So, really good. I think we won, like you were saying, the 4-for-4, so indoor and outdoor on the men's and women's side the last 2 years in a row. But then we won, the indoor season 3 years ago, and then we got the outdoor season kind of taken from us with COVID. So we haven't lost a conference championship in, over 3 years, which is great. Now the athletes kind of see that as an expectation. They don't want to be the team or the class that loses it. So we're looking forward to seeing how long we can keep this streak going. And we're just getting a little bit better every year. And I think that's what's important, is we're not plateauing. We are continuing to get better. And in my opinion, our team is just really kind of scratching the surface, and we're doing some things that are going to take us to the next level here in the next year or two. So I think a lot of good coaches, they'll reflect on years past and say, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? And try to make some little adjustments to their training plan. And that's what we do every year. And this year, what we did was we really tried to train through those 3 weeks, because our conference meet is a little earlier than a lot of conferences. So you can get a little flat there going to nationals, because it's almost a month before you're competing again. So we went to conference, had a week off, did a last chance meet with all of those qualifiers, and kind of kept the ball rolling and not backing off the pedal. Okay, so we trained through. That way those athletes weren't feeling like kind of sluggish and flat. So we competed, we kept training hard, and then really didn't back off until that last week going into nationals. And it paid off. We had great performances in the men's and women's long jump, the women's 100 hurdles, huge performance there. And then Dakota Abbott in the triple jump. But I don't normally do this, but sometimes you have a spectacular performance, and we gave athlete of the meet to Afwerki Zaru, who scored, got third place in the 10K, and then came back 2 days later and won the 5K, which, maybe for Coach Mish was something that he knew could happen, but for me it was a huge peak performer, right? So, and we knew he was good, but there's a lot of good guys racing in that, and he kind of handed it to him. So to have Coach Mish's first national champion, it was just a great performance, and that kid's extremely special, and looking forward to having him back next year. So on the men's side, as far as the athletes that were at nationals, we're not losing anybody, and we're kind of finishing up our recruiting class here, and we're bringing in some top quality athletes who I think could be at the national meet next year, and we've got a lot of young kids too. So I think our men's team is to the point now where you're going to start seeing some huge performances there. Women's side, we kind of have our first real graduating class since we started up the track program, and we're losing some big time contributors. But I gotta remember that they didn't come in that way. They didn't come in these superstars. So they're going to be a little bit irreplaceable because of they kind of started the program up and brought it through. We'll be able to replace their points and their times and their marks, but not them as people. And they are kind of the founders of the program, with Layla and Kayla Zink and Hannah Meek. So we're going to be really good next year regardless, but it does, it hurts losing those leaders and those just great people that helped our program get to where it is today.